it's Robin here from quiltingintheloft.com. I'm here today to talk to you about making a stitch book. And a stitch book is where you use your BERNINA machine and explore your BERNINA decorative stitches. I'm working with the BERNINA 790 Pro. You may have a different BERNINA machine, but this is for all machines. The BERNINA 790 Pro has 700 decorative stitches and 10 sewing alphabets. So for me, I would like to explore what all of those stitches look like, what the sizing looks like. I also want to know how to use the I dialog button. And that's the little button that's right here. It says I. It's an I dialog button. I want to understand how to use that. This process will help you to use that. Also, when you use the question mark and you touch the different stitches, it will also help you to understand what those stitches are for. So when you're looking at the practical stitches, you know, if you check on the question mark, what the stitches are to be used for. It also helps you with the sizing of the actual stitches, and doing a stitch book will help you to understand how the stitches move, and that's highly important. So up next, we'll talk about the supplies that you need, and I'm going to show you the actual stitch book. It has been a really fun time for me. This is the stitch book part 1. I will have another blog post coming up with the stitch book part 2 because I've gone from menu 1 all the way to menu 600. I have to go all the way to menu number 2201. So I am at 600. So as you can imagine, I have lots of stitches to go. But I've been excited with every single stitch. It's really interesting to see them stitched out for real. You do have a book that shows you little drawn out icons that show you all of the stitches. But what's really great is that the stitches are actually more beautiful than the drawing. And so that's really a great process to go through and make a stitch book. So let's talk about the actual stitch book. So I have a stitch book here. As you can see, I have the practical stitches, and I'll bring it up close so you can see. And then I go all the way up the different decorative stitches. These are actually cross stitches and beautiful satin stitches and some really gorgeous satin stitches. And I'm just going to explain to you how I went through the process and what supplies I needed. And so first of all, the icon sheet. It helps you to understand when you're actually working with the different functions with the machine, what the icons mean. These icons here, these icons here, these icons here. And also when you get into this screen, which is the I function button, the I menu, you can figure out what all of these icons if you use this icon sheet. So it's vitally important. If you don't have an icon sheet that's laminated like this comes with the 790 Pro, you will find the icons in your machine manual. And I do recommend that you take it out, print it, and laminate it and keep it in your sewing room handy. You'll also need some decorative threads. I have an assortment of decorative threads here. I have red and yellow and purple and pink and fuchsia, blue and green. You can use whatever colors you want, but I, with each menu, changed the colors so that I knew that my utility stitches were in one color, that my satin stitches were in another color, that my cross stitches were in another color. You'll also need a glue stick. You'll need some fabric. I made all of mine on black fabric. Black fabric that's been stabilized with a tearaway stabilizer. However, I've just kept the stabilizer on there. It's a medium weight stabilizer because it helped not only with the stitching, but it helps it to stay stiff when you're putting it into your sleeves. And I use these clear sleeves just from the stationery store, and I put them all in that so that I could put them in a binder. And I used cardstock. It keeps it nice and firm, so it's easy to slide it into the binder. I used my machine manual to refer to all the numbers for the different decorative stitches. And I used a marker to actually mark beside the stitches what they are, what the number is for them to refer to. I used pinking shears and pinked around the edges of my black fabric like this. You can see it's pinking shears, pinked rather. And I used a bobbin weight thread so that I wouldn't have to change my bobbin color. My bobbin color. And I think that's just about everything that I did use. Obviously, you need to have some binders as well. And in my blog post, I'll go into more depth about, on the Bernina International blog, I'll go into more depth about why have a stitch book. But as you can see, I'm just going to pull one of these pages out. I have put all the stitches on it. These are nature stitches. They're the 100 plus menu. And what I mean by 100 plus, it's not that there's more than 100 stitches. It's just, it's in the 100 plus numbers menu. And I've written the stitches with black pen. That you could do this totally differently. You could do this in the credit card or the photo folders that you can find in the scrapbooking stores. But I just decided to do this because it was affordable and I could use something that's readily available, like these clear sheets from the stationery store. I used my permanent marker to mark the numbers for each stitch so I knew what number they were. So I can go through this book now and refer to it. So when I'm doing something that I need decorative stitches for, it's so easy for me to go and have these stitches readily available and to refer to. And, you know, maybe I'm doing something for spring and I want tulips. And I know that this stitch number 103 is tulips. There's also a 101 that's tulips. There's 102 that's flowers. But it turns out that with this book, it's really neat that the sizing is so obvious when you stitch it out. So I'm going to give you some examples. The stitch number 245, I'm going to pull out that out of my book. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in our machine manual. This is number 245. It's right here. Hopefully you can see that really well. It's a beautiful rose, okay? In the machine manual, it shows right here, and it is really tiny. You can't really see the quality of that stitch with just this little tiny drawing, which is an effective drawing. It's exactly what it looks like, but when it's stitched out in big in real stitching, it looks phenomenal. And I was really excited to see that. How beautiful that 245 looks. So this is another benefit of actually having a stitch book. You can actually see the size of your stitches. And I'm going to show you some other examples. The cross stitching, how vividly beautiful is that? Just gorgeous. And then there's some satin stitching that I wanted to show you. And it is number 506. So I'll refer to the manual, find number 506. So number 506 just looks like a little wee kind of curly Q. It's right there. Okay. It doesn't look like much, but when you actually stitch it out, I'm going to pull it right out of the book for you. 506 is this one right here. You could actually measure a block with that measurement. It's very big, and make this a frame around a block. So it's a fantastic stitch. So it's really exciting for me to go through the process of doing this. You can see how big these are, sideways motions, satin stitches, the 500 plus menu. But it gives you an idea of the sizing, which is really, really important. You could choose to also use like a white cotton. I just used a black cotton because I thought the colors would show up really nicely on it. And also shows up the sheen of your embroidery thread as well. This is on another menu, but it's smaller. But in this particular menu, the 500 plus, it's quite big. And sometimes you need different sizes depending on the project that you're working. So it's a really effective way to explore the decorative stitches. I'm only at menu 600, as I said. I will be working on all of the 700 to 2201 menus coming up. And also I want to work through the buttonholes as well. Right here, when I go back out of this menu, I have done the utility stitches. I have gone to all of my decorative stitches up to 601, right to there, but I still have 2 more pages to do. So I have a lot of stitching coming up, and so I'll show you those on a later post. I also want to show you the sewing alphabets that are available. There are 10 available, the sewing alphabets, and I also want to show you the buttonhole stitches, and there are several of those as well. I also want to show you the menu that has all of the quilting stitches. This is just the ones that you personally love, and this is your history. So those really are not, they're stitches, but they're stitches that you put in there that you're working on. So I will go through these first 5 menus, and you'll see the second part of my stitch book series on the blog, and I will link that blog post below. Thanks so much for joining me today when I talked about my stitch book for my BERNINA 790 Pro. I'm hoping that you will try and make one as well. It's definitely been a great experience for me. I'm planning on doing a stitch book as well for my 350 because this has been such a great experience. I'm hoping as well that you'll look at my blog post at the BERNINA International blog. I will link that blog post down below, and that you'll follow along as I finish this whole series. I'll have another part 2 with all of the rest of the stitches that I'm going to be working on in the 12 or 2200 series menu. And I hope that you'll like and subscribe and check back to my YouTube channel to see what I'm up to with my BERNINA 790 Pro. Have a great day.